Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Education USA's Saturday webinars in India. Thank you for joining us. Today's session is on programs in architecture, sustainable design, urban planning, and related fields. Before I introduce today's speakers, I'd like to share some information about who we are and what we do. Education USA is a US Department of State supported body, and our mandate is to provide accurate, current, and comprehensive information to students who are looking to pursue higher studies in the US. We have 7 advising centers in India and over 400 worldwide. For more information, please visit educationusa.state.gov. In our efforts to reach more students, we conduct virtual information sessions twice a month on Saturdays at 10 a.m. We invite you and your friends to join us for these sessions where you can learn more about the different aspects of higher studies in the US. At this point, I will ask all the participants to type into the chat box if you have any technical issues, and I will respond there and help you deal with them. And at the end of the session, we have time for questions and answers, so I request that you keep your questions till the end. For today's session, our speaker is Sedef Dogana, Associate Professor and Chair of the Department of Architecture at the University of Texas, San Antonio. Sedef, hello and welcome to the Saturday webinar. Thank you so much for taking the time, especially so late at night, to present this session.
Hello.
Hello.
It's very nice to meet you. Yes, it's 11:30, close to midnight here, but we're very happy to be with you. I'm Sedef Dorganer. As you introduced, I'm the Department Chair of Architecture, and I have my colleague here, Dr. Alexander, who is the Graduate Advisor of record. And then we have one of our graduate students, Meet, here with us. Actually, he's from India. So he will be also happy to share his experience at the end of our presentation.
That sounds great, Sedef. We are ready to begin. The floor is all yours.
Okay, perfect. So good morning, everyone. Today we'll be talking about the architecture education, interior design education, planning education, and related fields like history preservation and sustainability education in United States of America. So I'd like to start with architecture programs first. There are 2 types of architectural degrees in US, professional degrees and non-professional degrees. Non-professional degrees are in the forms of Bachelor of Architecture, which is typically 5-year program, and there are Master of Architecture programs. There are typically, again, 2 or 3-year programs, depending of your undergraduate degree, and PhDs, Doctor of Architecture programs. And there are also non-professional degrees in architecture, which requires an Master of Architecture degree for licensure to be a registered architect. But non-professional degrees are Bachelors of Arts in Architecture, Bachelor of Science in Architecture, Bachelor of Fine Arts in Architecture, or Bachelor of Environmental Design. So all of these non-professional degrees in architecture, after 4 years of education, they require Master of Architecture degree, which is typically 2 years degree. So, but if you have another undergraduate degree, let's say you have an undergraduate degree in business or engineering, and you would like to be an architect, then your master's program typically is 3 years. First year is for the preparatory courses, and then the last 2 years are regular Master of Architecture degree courses. In order to again, become an architect, your degree, the school that you're graduating, needs to be a accredited school. And National Architectural Accreditation Board accredits all the schools in architecture programs. And that is a continued process. Let's say there are schools who are accredited for 5 years, 6 years, 8 years. The maximum is 8 years. And then they periodically come and visit your school and review your education. And you need to meet the criteria each time. to keep your accreditation. NCARB is the National Accreditation Board is a part of NCARB, and to become an architect, you need to have an professional degree first, and after the professional degree, NCARB basically standards all the education, architecture education nationwide through National Accreditation Board, through NAB. They also have a board about the education examination, and after your professional degree, you need to have experience and the examination, and you report all your internship hours and your experience in the NCARB's website. So there is this link that I added here, and I would like to open it and share it with you. This is NCARB's website. So to become an architect, you can always go and look at these websites if you're interested in architecture degree, and see the paths and architecture schools and where to study architecture in these websites. And also, after your professional degree, you need to start reporting your hours, which is called AXP hours. After your professional degree, you have to complete 3,740 hours of education in different areas, experience in different areas, like practice management or project management, programming analysis, and then you have to report all of these experiences in NCARB's website. And after you complete that 3,740 hours of experience, you need to complete the examination to become an architect. So it is a little longer process, but normally in some schools or in some cases it may take longer than it needs to be, but they make it even easier by time. Now you can start also taking some of these examinations during your internship hours, internship times. Let's say when you finish some of the hours, you can take the first exam, and then you can continue working and take the other exam. Even during the school, you can start taking the exams now. So they're making a little bit flexible when you sit the exam these days, but it is after the work, total of 3,740 hours of experience in total. So like I mentioned, this is the website. When you get into the NCARB's website, what you're going to see about the architectural experience program and how you demonstrate these hours in this website. So the first step is the education, then experience, then examination, and the licensure. When you have your license, then you have to, of course, continue with the additional requirements and keep your license active throughout your profession. Another important website, if you're interested in studying architecture, is ACSA, Association of Collegiate Schools of Architecture's website. And here is the website for that website that I'm going to share it with you again. And if you go and look at that website, you will see all the programs, opportunities, and the degrees, along with some data about the architecture schools. And you can also see where to study architecture. So if you click in the study architecture at ACSA's website, you can filter your search in many ways about the schools in US. You can search with the regions or states, and then see all of these options that are possible to study architecture. And when you choose your school or the schools that you're interested in, of course, you need to go to their graduate school's website and see for the application requirements. is normally very standard, which is your application, transcript, letters of recommendation, statement of purpose that you need to draft very well, that letter, and your GRE scores, test scores. For international students, of course, you need to also have a TOEFL or ELTC scores provided along with your application. When you apply from an undergraduate degree in an international school, your degree is also evaluated, and then you have foreign credentials with the US, and your application will be completed. If you were to apply in schools, again, this is UTSA's website in graduate school, you can see all the requirements here and the degree information, and then you can click apply now and then start putting all of your information in there when needed. So University of Texas at San Antonio has architecture programs. We have both 4-year Bachelor of Architecture program, and we have Master of Architecture program. In Master of Architecture program, we have 2 years and 3 years options. So if you have an undergraduate in architecture, you can continue with the Master of Architecture program, which is 2 years. If you don't have an architecture degree program degree in undergrad, then you can continue with the 3-year program. We also have Master of Science in Architecture program, which is a research-focused program. And within that program, we have tracks and concentration areas in sustainable architecture, historic preservation, and research in practice. We also offer at UTSA urban and regional planning degrees and interior degrees, which I'll be talking later. UTSA also offers graduate certificate programs, again in urban and regional planning, historic preservation, and sustainability areas. So Texas is one of the largest states in US. And this Texas triangle with Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas-Fort Worth area is one of the largest big metropolitan areas. San Antonio itself is 7th largest city in US, along with Houston being 5th. And Fort Worth and Dallas metropolitan area is a huge area, as you may see here on the north. So it's a big area that with lots of exposure. It's one of the wealthier states also. And San Antonio, which our city, is one of the historic cities in US again. We just celebrated our 300-year anniversary. Our tricentennial year was last year, so it was founded 300 years ago. The city attracts lots of tourists with its historic designated buildings. We have one of the largest urban World Heritage sites in San Antonio, also with the Missions Historic Districts. We have 5 missions along the river, and all of these were designated as World Heritage Site in 2015. And everybody knows the Alamo. The Alamo also is in San Antonio, which you see here on the bottom right image. So our department is focused on the opportunities and the tension between the global and the local. We prepare our students to be future professionals and researchers ready for the globalized and challenging future. We believe the advantage of living in this historic city and this unique setting between modern and history. Our strengths are our attention to respect the cultural fabric and vibrant urban life in San Antonio. It is a very multicultural city. It is lots of exposure from the Latin America and Mexico, but also attracting lots of people from all over the world with its diverse backgrounds and with the growing potential in the city. UTSA College of Architecture, Construction and Planning have different labs and digital tools to support our education and the creativity and the design exploration. Of course we have computer labs and huge print shops and digital fabrication lab. We have a nice fabrication lab, and we are working on our high performance building design lab, which is growing tremendously, and urban future lab. So we do research about the future of urban settings, and conservation lab again is one of our new labs that we are still working on to develop. So as I mentioned, we do have undergraduate degrees in architecture and graduate degrees in architecture. These are our postcards that are digitally also available. UTSA Department of Architecture Master of Architecture degree program was granted with an extension of 8-year NAP accreditation in 2016. 8-year accreditation is the maximum that you can get accredited. So we were very successful in our last visit in 2016 with the NAB review board, and we were granted for 8 years of accreditation. As I mentioned before, we have an emphasis in our education in sustainability and historic preservation. We do have a high performance design and sustainability certificate along with our architecture degree. So students can apply for the certificate degree while they're studying their architecture degree here. The certificate programs are only 15 credits, and you can take your electives within the certificate degree. So it's a great potential for our students who are interested in these areas to also complete their certificates along with their degrees without taking too many extra courses and with the electives that they are taking within their architecture degree. Our historic preservation program is the same, again, 15 credit hours, and this is one of the oldest certificate programs that we have because of our setting and because of our culture, and especially with the World Heritage designation in 2015 is one of the most popular certificate programs that we have. We have been also conducting a lot of research in historic preservation and sustainability areas. We have a very international faculty from all over the world, from Korea, Turkey, Iran, Spain, Italy. We have one Indian faculty actually in construction program. So and all of these great researchers and academicians, we are working on the areas of sustainability, historic preservation, urban design, urban and regional planning programs, etc. Department of Architecture and the programs in architecture program in UTSA have a undergraduate programs have this required Urbino program, study abroad program in Italy. So all of our undergraduate architecture and interior design students do go to Italy and spend one semester in there in Urbino, which is a great experience for our undergraduate students. And in graduate program, we have an exchange program at Sapienza of Rome, which is not required, but many of our students, again, do prefer to go to Rome. We do a lot of projects with the community. We run community studios, and most of them are funded studios, and we do work with this city, this great city, in order to be impactful in this growing historic city. So we did lots of installations with our digital fabrication lab and with our studios in the city. Activation of Houston Street is something, a very historic street, and city is working on activating this that street. And actually, one semester we moved our studio to the Houston Street, and for 2 weeks we were there working with our students, and we got lots of attention and good feedback along with that studio. This is some pictures about our Sapienza program, exchange program in Rome. This is a relatively new program. We developed this collaboration in 2017, and 10 of our students did spend their second semester in Rome, which was a great experience for them also. We do also engage with the city with our lecture series. Last year, again, when we were celebrating the tricentennial year in San Antonio, there were a series of lectures and events on the celebration of this very important year. And we had this On the Edge of Future series with lots of invited lecturers all over the state again. We invited them here, and there were great attendance, and everybody was super interested with the discussion. And we continue to do that in our lecture series in the college every year. So this is a typical Master of Architecture degree program of study. So we are looking at 2 years program here in this slide. So every semester we have design studios, and it starts with the design studio, continues with the topic studio, then technical studio, and master's project at the end. All Masters of Architecture degree students need to complete a master's project, which is tailored around their own interests, their own research interests. So in the spring semester, they do take master's project preparation course, where they develop their own research. And within the year after that date, they develop their research. And the last semester is the master's project studio, which they develop this project individually, and then they present to the community. We also have technical courses like Advanced Building Technology and Sustainability course. We have Theory and Criticism courses and electives. These electives are 15 credits of electives. Again, can be taken in the student's interest. As I mentioned before, our certificate programs support this 15 credit of electives. As you can see here on the right, for historic preservation certificate, that they need to take history and theory of preservation, which is one of our required electives, or they can go and take some additional electives that we offer in that semester. And while they're completing their degree program, they may also complete the certificate in either in historic preservation or in high performance design and sustainability, or also urban and regional planning certificate. We do offer urban and regional planning degree program and a certificate again with 15 credits. If you don't have an architecture undergraduate degree, then it is 7 semesters, which is 3 years program. So you start with preparatory courses in your first 3 semesters, fall, spring, and summer semesters, with the introduction studios, 3 introduction studios with principles of structures courses, or environmental systems courses, or materials courses, or history of architecture courses. And after the completion of these 3 semesters, you continue with the Master of Architecture 2 curriculum, which you are meeting with the rest of the students basically, and then start with your Advanced Design Studios curriculum and continue afterwards. This is a Master of Science in Architecture degree. As I mentioned, this degree is tailored more on research. It's not a professional degree. So if you don't have a Master of Architecture degree or a Bachelor of Architecture degree, means a professional degree, you cannot sit for the exam or be a licensed architect with an MS degree. But a MS degree opens another world to you, which is based on research. The profession of architecture all over the world and also in United States is changing dramatically these days. A lot of research is needed with the advanced materials, with the sustainability, with energy, everything, historic preservation. So most of these big offices have their own research program within their office. So this MS in architecture degree helps you to engage with the research in the profession in this architecture world and go and work in those research departments in the offices. Or, of course, it's the first step to continue with the PhD degree, which is a doctoral degree in architecture. If you're interested in teaching in one of these architecture schools or related areas, the Master of Architecture degree will help you and open you that door to go and apply for the PhD degree. We also have a Master's of Architecture degree in research practice area, which is tailored with the internship. So it's a 33 credit hours of degree. It's not 52 like Master of Architecture. Again, it is research oriented, but in this track, if you're interested in a specific research area, let's say in sustainable architecture, we open you that door that you can do your own research and do an internship with a firm with their research area in sustainability and have this problem that both firms have and discover and explore the ways on that problem and on that research and work with the firm, your faculty advisor, and your own research around to solve that problem. So let's say it is about something about sustainability and energy performance or modeling or daylighting or post-occupancy evaluation, which most of our faculty and our students getting involved, then you can go and do this research along with the firm and your faculty and get a full exposure on this area. And eventually after your graduation, you can go and continue your research within a firm and it's a great path actually to move forward. Another good thing that our programs have is that our degree programs in masters, both Master of Architecture degree and Master of Science degree, they are STEM designated programs. In architecture education in US, architecture was never considered as one of the STEM disciplines. But after ACSA's Association of Collegiate Schools of Architecture's white paper on STEM education and our efforts why architecture needs to be one of the STEM disciplines, now we have that new zip code, which all schools, all degree programs need to have these zip codes. The new zip code on architecture and building sciences, which is a STEM discipline. And we were lucky enough and we pursued this really believing in that it needs to change. And last year we applied the coordinating board and changed our zip code to the STEM code. So this year, it's our first year that we do offer our both architecture degrees with a STEM discipline, which is a great advantage for international students because all STEM disciplines and STEM degrees have the optional practical training for up to 3 years. So normally when you graduate from any degree in US, you have 12 months of optional practical training, which is OPT, and you can go and work in the offices, and then you have to find a working visa within that 1 year period of time, which is not always enough. And like other STEM disciplines, now architecture has this extension of 24 months of OPT training, which is up to 3 years, which is a great advantage to get the experience within that 3 years period of time. And then when have experience and prove yourself, and eventually get the working visa if you want to stay in US and continue working and have more experience in US. So it is again a great advantage for our students. It's not only for the extended OPT, but it is also opening new doors to our researchers and our students to apply new fundings in STEM area. So it is a big advantage for our school and for our degrees to have this STEM designation. Unfortunately, not all the architecture programs have this designation. I think nationwide we were maybe 10th or 11th school who changed the STEM code to this STEM code. Most of the architecture schools in US still carries the previous STEM code, previous zip code still, which doesn't offer that 24 extra OPT training. But we managed to do so, and we are very proud of ourselves on that way. So UTSA also offers interior design program. Interior design programs are also accredited, needs to be accredited by Council for Interior Design and Accreditation Board, and they do have a very similar examination process also. They have to have less credit hours, like you need to have 3,520 work hours if you have a bachelor's degree in an accredited school, or if you have an architecture degree but have an experience in interior design, you need to have more working hours listed, but you can still take the examination and be a licensed interior designer. And this is what you need to do after you complete your hours. You need to apply the CIDQ exams and register and schedule your exam. And you have an exam from the fundamentals, like a multiple choice and the professional experience and the practicum area. So it's 3 exams that you can go and take and be registered interior designer. UTSA offers interior design degree in undergraduate level. It's the Bachelor of Science in Interior Design, and this is what the curriculum looks like for interior design program. We do offer series of studios as we offer in architecture, so it's 8 studios starting from 1st year to 4th year, and then there's an exposure to history of architecture and space planning, color theory, and behavioral theory, computer projects in design, and it also requires a semester in Urbino. So it's a great program. It's also a great program to move forward with Master of Architecture's 3 degree, because you may be both an interior designer and a registered architect. If you have a bachelor's in interior design and move quickly, not even a full 3 years, because interior design has lots of common courses with the architecture, and continue with the Master of Architecture degree, and eventually be both interior designer and an architect. We do also offer urban and regional planning degree in master's level. Urban and regional planning education in US have also bachelor degrees and master's degrees and doctoral level degrees. Bachelor degrees are normally 4-year degrees, Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science in urban planning. Master's degrees are can be terminal professional degrees, so they are non-research degrees. Professional degrees in the form of Master of City and Regional Planning or Master of Urban and Regional Planning, or you may have a doctoral degree, which is a research degree, PhD in Urban and Regional Planning degrees. Planning Accreditation Board also have an accreditation process for the urban and regional planning degrees. If you're interested in urban and regional planning, Planetizen is the guide that you need to go and look for the programs. You can find it online, and then you can see all the degree programs offered in urban and regional planning area. And it's the traditional guidebook actually to see where and which schools offer this degree. Planning Accreditation Board also maintains the list of accredited schools, and based on your interest, you need to do your research and see if this is the area that you need to work, and this is the research focus that school is interested in, and if there are funding available, and etc. At UTSA again, we do offer Masters in Urban and Regional Planning, which is a degree program with a total of 48 credits. It's a professional degree, again with a master's thesis. We do also offer, as I mentioned before, graduate certificate in Urban and Regional Planning, which is 15 credits. Certificate programs, again, open for all students, also in architecture students, or other disciplines like geography or public policy, that we have many students from other areas, or real estate also. Urban and regional planning, if you're interested in urban and regional planning program, as I mentioned again before, you can go and click one of these links and go to graduate school's website and see all the requirements in there and get more information about studying urban and regional planning degree. And application requirements are basically very similar to other degrees: letter of recommendation, your transcript, statement of purpose, a letter that's stating your interest about the degree program, GRE, and again, your TOEFL or ELTC exam is the requirement. And this is a typical master's in urban and regional planning degree requirements. So we do offer community and regional planning courses, a history and theory of urban regional planning, planning methods, ethics, urban and regional sustainability courses, planning and land use law, and then you can also focus in different areas like historic preservation, or you can focus on sustainable community development. You can focus more on the environment and transportation or infrastructures planning. So we also collaborate, it's a joint program with College of Public Policy. So you can, if you're more interested in public administration or public policy, you may go take more courses in public policy and have the degree and the expertise in those areas as well. Again, UTSA offers competitive scholarships for all of our degree programs. We do have recruitment scholarships and regular scholarships during the semesters. Recruitment scholarships are for our graduate students in Master of Science in Architecture, Master of Architecture, Urban and Regional Planning degree programs. We do also have specific recruitment scholarships for the historic preservation program, especially. And we offer, if you have a $1,000 and more competitive scholarship, UTSA offers this for international students or all the students out of Texas. If you have this scholarship, $1,000 and more, then you pay in-state tuition, which is a great advantage again for out-of-state students, because in this case, that your tuition that you need to pay for international students or out-of-state tuitions is basically half of the tuition that you are normally going to pay as an international student. You pay exactly the same tuition with in-state students, and you have the extra recruitment scholarship. If you're a really good student, you may also have the graduate research assistantships or teaching assistantships. And sometimes it's a part of our recruitment package as well. So I think this is the end of my presentation, and we are open to questions.
Okay, thank you, Sadat. That was pretty interesting in terms of understanding how to search for universities, what kinds of accreditation is required, what examples of exactly what programs look like, and what is the flexibility and the opportunities for specializations and research and internships within a program. Students, if you have any questions, we just have about 10 minutes left in this webinar, so now would be a good time to ask your questions. Just type them into the question box, and we will take them from there.
And in the meantime, maybe Meet would like to say something.
Hi, my name is Meet Mehta, and I'm an international student. I'm from Mumbai, India. I did my undergraduate degree of Bachelor's in Architecture from Here College at Mumbai, and I worked there for. I did gain a little bit of work experience from there, and that's when I realized that I need an international exposure and an international experience to advance my knowledge, and that's when I decided to get a master's degree from the States. After doing a lot of research, UTSA was one of the universities that really interested me. I also had a senior friend from India who was studying here. I got a really good feedback from him too, and I'm glad I made a great decision, because if you're looking for, I mean, honestly, I'm very much satisfied with the university, and San Antonio as a city is it's an interesting city to be in, especially if you're an architecture student who's interested in historic preservation, because we've got a lot of historic buildings around, and it's a really good city. It's a really good university, and it's just been a couple of months. It's just been 2 semesters at this university so far, but I've really gained a lot of knowledge. I've really got tremendous exposure to things that I wasn't aware about, especially sustainability, which is something that's really interesting me these days. And we have a really good library as well, with lots of books, which cover various architectural topics. So if y'all, if you all want to gain an international experience, I would definitely suggest to go for a master's degree from an international school. Thank you.
Can I just ask, Meet, as someone who has applied to US schools and is now studying architecture at a US school, what would your suggestions be for criteria that students should take into consideration when they're looking out for programs? Criteria like whether it's the accreditation or the opportunities for research or internships. So, what would your suggestions be?
I mean, I would say it's specific to the scope of interest, what the student actually wants to gain his knowledge in or do his master's degree in. But I mean, it just depends. It's specific. So if you're looking for sustainability, you would look for schools that provide you, like UTSA, for example, has now has a certificate course in sustainability as well. So yeah, you need to do a lot of research before you actually make a decision of what school you want to study in. And the preparations start way early. I mean, as an international student, when you're in a fifth year of architecture, you should be done with your, if you don't want to have a gap in between, you should be done with your GRE and TOEFL exams.
Great. Saraf, is there anything that your colleague would like to add about
John?
architecture programs?
Sure. Yeah, my name is John Alexander. I'm the graduate advisor of record, and part of my responsibilities include overseeing the evaluation of the applications that are submitted. And I understand that for students in general and for international students in particular, that it can seem like a daunting list of things that need to be submitted with the application. But in my experience, the three most important parts of the application include the letter of intent, which is your opportunity to explain to us what interests you about architecture and also what sort of contribution you would like to make as an architect. That's very important. The portfolio is extremely important, and the letters of recommendation are also important. And we require 2 letters of recommendation, and in my experience, the most successful applications have at least 1 letter that comes from a professor. So if you have the opportunity to submit a letter from an employer, if you have worked in an architecture firm or a design firm, that would be great. But please make sure that at least 1 of those letters comes from a professor who can evaluate your capacities as a student. Thank you.
Great. Could I just ask on that note, does the portfolio have to be related to the field, that the specialization that the student is applying for? So for instance, suppose the applicant is going towards sustainability. Does the portfolio need to reflect work in that field specifically, or could it be broader, more general, and then can the student use the master's as the opportunity to gain experience in that specialization?
That sounds most accurate, what you just recently said.
Oh,
that,
right. Okay.
the master's degree is really where the students will have the opportunity to specialize, and the portfolio that they submit, if they have work in sustainability or historic preservation, that would be wonderful to see, but we don't demand it and we don't expect to see it.
Yeah. So we have a question about the minimum GRE scores. If you all could just address it so that everyone can hear the response to this. It's a typical question that comes from students in this region.
Yeah, we have an overall score of 297 that we hope to see in the GRE exams, but that's not a requirement. The higher the score, the better, but 297 is a ballpark figure that we would like to see.
Do you look for anything specifically regarding the GPA? Is there any cutoff or any ballpark figure that you want to put out there for students' GPA?
We look for a GPA of 3.0 in the American system. I'm not exactly sure how it translates to the Indian system, but part of the process for international students would include getting your degree and your grades certified through an agency, and they would do the translating from the Indian GPA to the American GPA. But in terms of the American system, we look for a GPA of 3.0.
Another question that occurs to me, all right, let's go. There's a student has put in a question here. What is the division of weightage allocated between the GRE scores, the portfolio, and the marks while considering admission? So how do you, what's more important to you? I think you might have sort of answered it already, but you could just address that.
I would say that we don't have a rigid ranking. However, for the Master of Architecture degree program, the portfolio is extremely important, and in many cases is the most important document. The grades or the marks are also very important. In the GRE scores, we take into consideration. But again, I would say that the portfolio is extremely important. The letter of intent or the statement of intent is very important, and the letters of recommendation are very important.
Any other questions, students, that you might have for us? So if I could just clarify, in the meantime, are the GRE scores required for all programs in this field at your university?
It is, yes.
It is, all right, okay.
It is required.
All right. All right, well, I think if there are no other questions, we can call it a day and conclude the webinar. Thank you, Sedef, John, Meet, for your participation in this webinar. It was a real privilege to have, faculty members and current students be able to weigh in and provide information and such in-depth information on the different programs. I really believe this is going to be a useful resource for the students who are attending today, but also for future students as they explore these fields. So thank you very much for being at this webinar, and so late at night for you. Thank you to all participants for attending. All the best with your studies, and everyone have a good night, have a good day in whichever time zone you are.
Thank you so much.
Good
We
morning.
will
Thank
always
you.
be very happy to answer any further questions. Our emails are in our website, so we will be happy to answer questions, further questions.
Great.
Thank you.